Hello, and welcome to Diabetes Prevention, Becoming a Healthier You, Strategies for Weight Loss and Health. So your speaker today is Sarah Dietz. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Food and Nutrition from Purdue University. I'm currently working on my Master's of Science in Applied Nutrition, and I have an expected graduation date of May 2019 through the University of New England online. I'm a registered dietitian. I got my license in June 2013. I'm currently a clinical community nutrition manager as of January 2016. And also, I'm a member of the Southwestern Indiana Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, and I am their secretary this year. So today, to kind of give you a bit of an understanding of what we're going to be talking about, we've got our education outline for this presentation. And our topic of the day is prediabetes. We're going to be looking at the definition of this disease state and the risk factors, prevalence in Indiana, changing your risks as far as your portions, healthy defaults, the nutrition fact label, and exercise. We're going to be introducing SMART goals, which is a great way to find your end goal or get to your end goal. And then we'll do a recap. We'll go through some questions in case you have anything, and then we'll have a hands-on learning portion of the presentation. But to kind of start out, we want to focus on our learning objectives. We have three main ones for this presentation and for this seminar, and they're going to be demonstrate understanding of appropriate portion sizes, identify techniques that can be used to choose healthier food options, whether it's in a restaurant, at a store, or by reading those food labels. We also want you to be able to list 3 fun ways in which to involve your social circle and physical activity. So that's going to be your friends and your family and kiddos, things like that. So if you've ever visited a doctor or gone to the clinic and you've heard words like sugar's a little high, borderline diabetic, pre-diabetes, you're really in the right place as of right now. So today we're going to be discussing what prediabetes is and how we can reduce the eventual development of diabetes in the future. So even if it's been a while since you've been to the doctor and you're really unsure of where you stand with your health, this presentation will still be beneficial because it really just focuses on incorporating new healthy eating habits and getting more activity in your life. So if you hear pre-diabetic, you're kind of maybe wondering, well, what exactly does that mean? I just thought it was diabetes. So pre-diabetes is kind of that stage before type 2 diabetes. It progresses to that. And you're also going to be having an increased risk of heart disease when you're in this part or when you're in this stage. So your blood sugar levels will be higher than normal, but they're not quite high enough for a diabetes diagnosis. But the good thing about prediabetes is that it is actually reversible if you start picking up on some of the habits we're going to discuss today. And so if you're a visual person like me, it's helpful to see what these numbers look like as you advance from that normal stage to prediabetes and then into diabetes. So these are some diagnostic tests that the doctor may do to kind of see where you fall. And the first one is the HbA1c or A1c. And this is a test that can tell you the average of your blood sugar numbers over the past 2 to 3 months. Normal levels are less than 5.7, and a diabetes diagnosis can happen at 6.5% or higher. So if you're pre-diabetic, you fall in between those ranges. And another test that may be used to determine your level of diabetes risk is the fasting plasma glucose, or FPG, as you see it on the slide here. And this is a test that is completed after 8 hours of fasting, so nothing to eat or drink throughout the evening. And it's usually in the morning before breakfast when they do test. And normal is less than 100, and diabetes is something that starts to look like it's occurring when it's over 126. And then a final test that your doctor may order is called the Oral Glucose Tolerance Test, or OGTT. And this is a test that requires checking your glucose levels before you drink this special sweet drink, and then 2 hours after. And this is kind of a way to see how your body processes all that sugar to see if it, takes care of it like it should, or if it's hanging out in your blood for too long. So after 2 hours of drinking that drink, if your blood sugar numbers are less than 140, you're considered normal. But if you're over 200, then you're more likely to be diagnosed with diabetes. And again, you can kind of see that pre-diabetic line is right there in the middle across the slide. So you may be kind of asking yourself, what can I do now? One thing that you can do is start to realize what those risk factors of diabetes are. And right now you can see the list here. It's over 45 years of age, overweight or obese. You have a parent or a sibling with diabetes. You have gestational diabetes history. And what that is you were diagnosed with diabetes when you were pregnant, or your blood sugars were higher when you were pregnant. You have the elevated glucose history. You have heart disease. high cholesterol, high triglycerides, and you're not physically active. So most doctors kind of look at it as if you are over 45 and you're overweight or obese, they want to screen you for prediabetes. Also, if you're under 45 and you're overweight or obese and you have some of these other risk factors, then they're going to want to go ahead and test you as well, which with how diabetes has exponentially grown over the years, they kind of need to be a little bit more aggressive so we can find diabetes before it becomes a very severe problem. And it is estimated that about 79 million adults have prediabetes, and about 5 to 10% of them will become diabetic every year. So, and the scary thing is if it keeps going at this rate, then about 1 in 3 adults will have diabetes by 2050, which is 1 in 3, which is an astronomical number. So kind of to start understanding why prediabetes or diabetes is such an issue, I really wanted to kind of hone in on the prevalence of Indiana, which is where we're located this time. And I really just think this will help to emphasize the importance of change. And at a quick glance, I mean, you can see the slide as the years progress, so has diabetes. So, you can see from 1994 to 2015, the incidence of diabetes has just kept growing, which is obviously something that we want to work on reducing or reversing. And currently, it's estimated that about 10.5% of our state population has a diabetes diagnosis. And this is around about 1 in every 10 people. And actually, Indiana is higher than just the national average of 8.7%. And us that live here in Daviess County, Indiana, are above both the state and the national average at 12.9%. So that's why I kind of wanted to bring this information to you today so we can kind of look at how we can potentially decrease that percentage in our own lives. And this is also only talking about the actual diabetes diagnosis. This doesn't cover individuals that may be pre-diabetic or diabetic and they just don't know it. So if they were to, get that diagnosis and report it, then I could speculate that this number would be much higher. But don't worry, even though there is a large number of people that are expected to be diagnosed with diabetes in the upcoming years, we can change it, especially with those that are in that pre-diabetic category. And that's why it's so important to try and find it first and screen for it and get ahead of the game on that situation. So really what we need to do is start healthier habits. So this includes, exercise. This includes healthy eating. This includes losing weight. And whenever we do these three things in combination, we can really decrease our risk. And it is important, and it's daunting, and it's kind of scary to try and think about all the ways that we can potentially change. But if you pick on one small thing at a time and make those SMART goals that we're going to talk about, that can really help with reducing your risk. But first things first, I kind of wanted to go back over our objectives. Now that we've talked about the prevalence in Indiana and that we do need to change, some of our objectives are demonstrate understanding of appropriate portion sizes, identify techniques that can be used to choose healthier food options, whether it's in a restaurant, at a store, or by reading food labels. And then also we want you to be able to list 3 fun ways in which to involve your social circle in physical activity. So most of us are familiar with the idea that portions have grown over the years, but I always like to put things into a visual manner because I like to see things, and if I see things then I can say, oh, that's really changed, or that's really grown over the years. So here we've got, just 3 common staple foods in our diet and some of our diets. And we've got soda, we've got a cheeseburger, and we've got spaghetti and meatballs. So 20 years ago, you can see that soda was about 6.5 ounces, 82 calories. Cheeseburger was only about 330 calories. Spaghetti dinner was running around 500. So today we have grown to see soda at 20 ounces and 250 calories. One burger is now almost 600 calories. And then a spaghetti dinner is over 1,000 calories, which if most of us are trying to eat around 1,500 to 2,000 calories a day, that one meal right there is going to be, meeting up about half of your calories. So that's why it's really important to think, am I just used to seeing these big portions and that's why I accept them? Or does something different need to change? So we kind of want to focus in on those portion sizes to get used to seeing them smaller and get more comfortable with having smaller portions. So something that I really appreciate, and there will be a handout on this in your packet, it goes over comparing portion sizes to everyday household objects, because some people may not have any kind of measuring cups or can't afford them or just don't have them laying around, or you're not going to take them to a restaurant, so it's good to have these in hand or these in mind. So think about a baseball. A baseball is honestly close to a serving of about 1 cup of raw vegetables, 1 cup of dry cereal, and 1 cup of low-fat yogurt or milk. And a golf ball is about a quarter cup of nuts. A tennis ball is close to the size of 1 medium piece of fruit or a cup of berries. A deck of cards is close to a serving of French fries, which is about only 10 French fries or 2 to 3 ounces of meat, fish, or poultry. Ask yourself, when was the last time you only ate 10 French fries or a portion of meat the size of a deck of cards? I always get that deer in the headlights look when I mention only 10 French fries. That's why we really have to, like I said before, that spaghetti dinner was 1,000 calories on one meal. We really have to hone in on those portion sizes to work on reducing our weight and being healthier. So to kind of continue explaining portion sizes, think about a normal quarter or a penny. A quarter is about the size of a tablespoon, and penny is near the size of a teaspoon. So the tablespoon size is appropriate for a serving of salad dressing, mustard, ketchup, or mayo, and the teaspoon is appropriate for a serving of fat, oil, or sugar. And then you've got a CD case, and it's close to about 1 ounce of bread, which is roughly a slice of bread. And the CD case could also be about 1 ounce slice of cheese. And then the CD inside the case is near the appropriate size of a small pancake or tortilla. You don't really want them much bigger than that, and you don't really want those big old thick pancakes. And then you've got a computer mouse, and that's about it's about the serving of about a half a cup of vegetables or fruit, a half a cup cooked pasta, or a small baked potato. And the final serving size that we will match to a household object is cheese. 1 ounce of cheese is equal to only 4 dice, which is always the one that I struggle with because cheese is one of my favorite foods. So I try to always keep that in the back of my mind when I am eating and choosing my food. And another thing you can do is to consider purchasing smaller plates. I know that's not in everybody's budget and it's not in everybody's capabilities to do that to completely change all your dishes. But if you're in the market or you're out shopping at a thrift store or something like that and they have smaller dishes, think about purchasing them. They've done a lot of studies on people that have small plates versus the bigger ones, and it's almost just this thing we can't help ourselves from doing, that if we have a bigger plate, then we're going to fill it more full. So think about, reducing your plate size to help you cut back on portions as well. So an idea that I want to discuss with you that can be really helpful at home is the idea of healthy defaults. And there's going to be a handout also in your packet about healthy defaults to kind of give you some ideas that cover, what we're going to mention now and then some other ideas as well. And really the basic idea of healthy defaults is to make choosing healthy easier for you. And you don't need to feel worn out by constantly battling with your willpower, because if you're constantly saying, no, I can't eat that, or no, I can't have this, it just gets exhausting. And at the end of the day, after work and kids and taking care of everything, it's hard to continue to choose the right thing. I mean, anybody that's been on a diet can definitely agree with that feeling. So if you set up your environment to set yourself up for success, it's going to be much easier. You're going to feel like you're much more successful with much less effort. So some of the ideas include keeping fruits, veggies, and beans in your pantry or freezer. And that really just helps with cooking at home and makes it much easier because you can just open some cans, you can saute some veggies, you can warm things up real quick and easy, and you can always make sure that you have a vegetable portion or, add some beans for more fiber. So always just look at, your local store ads to see if those things are on discount and stock up your pantry while you can. And in addition to thinking about what our meals consist of, we also have to consider our healthier snacks. So one easy substitution could include keeping popcorn, and definitely not your movie theater popcorn butter, in the cabinet as opposed to chips or other high-calorie foods. And additional healthy defaults include taking a cheap refillable water bottle with you to work or while you're running errands. This helps with satisfying your thirst cravings without, going towards impulse purchases that may lead to higher calorie options like soda or like an energy drink or something like that. And always consider walking to your destination. Any kind of errand that you can do near your home, walk there. Or if you can pick up your kids from school or walk to work, do that. And that's a way just to get extra steps in without pushing too hard all the time. Always park away further from the door and keep some fruit on the counter for when you're really wanting some kind of sweet treat. It helps to really curb that sweet craving.